What is up, guys? I hope you've been doing well. It's been a while since I posted a video, and today I'm doing something a little bit different. I'm doing my first ever ranking video, and what better way to start off than one of the greatest bands of all time, Blondie. I have been a really big Blondie fan for a long time. Actually, in 2023 on the Apple Music replay, I was one of Blondie's top 100 listeners. So if anyone's qualified to rank the Blondie albums, I think at least I have a good say. So what I'm going to do is start from my least favorite, go all the way up to my favorite, tell you a little bit about each one, a little bit of history, and a little bit of my opinions, and then hopefully you agree with me. But if you disagree, please leave your list in the comments. Starting off at number 11 is, without a doubt, their 2014 album, Ghosts of Download. What's kind of special about this album is it's a double album in a way. On this side, it's a re-recording of a lot of their hit songs. So they re-recorded it with Debbie Harry's 2014 voice. And on this side, it's a whole new album, songs that have never been recorded before. And honestly, I think it was really overshadowed, not only because people were really after the re-recordings, but also because the album's just not that good overall. It sounds very overproduced, very electro, and it's really the only Blondie album that doesn't sound like Blondie at all. But let's start off with the songs that I like on this album. Okay, done. Yeah, I'm not trying to be over dramatic or anything, but really there's not that much to like on this album. There's a song called A Rose by Any Name, that's okay, and then Sugar on the Side, that's probably the most famous song from the album. Again, it's okay, just not anywhere near Blondie's best. While this might get me some hate, I'm just being completely honest. My number 10 pick is their 1982 album, The Hunter. This is their last album before their hiatus until 1999, and also the last album with Nigel Harrison and Frank Infante. And overall, the band just seems burnt out by this time, and there's not that many songs that are a standout. Some of my favorites are Island of Lost Souls and War Child. Those are probably the two most popular, but again, just not really the band's best. I think instrumentally, though, this is one of their stronger albums. I think the Beast's hook at the beginning, as well as Little Caesar, I think those are really good. But the songs overall, the lyrics are kind of weird. The album also has this really weird jungle theme. There's like a lot of animal noises, and it sounds like something they would play in Animal Kingdom at Disney World. So, not a great fit for a rock band. Coming in number 9 is their 2003 album, The Curse of Blondie, and this entire album is just peaks and valleys. Like, there's really good songs on there, and then there's some of their absolute worst, which is just very inconsistent overall. This is the last album with their keyboard player, Jimmy Destry, who was there from the very beginning and is one of the key components to Blondie's sound, and he definitely goes out with a bang. I think Good Boys is one of their best songs of all time. It was the only single from this album. Another song that I like is Undone. It's kind of this nice rocker. It has a really good hook at the beginning. But besides that, there's this weird song called like Songs for Richard or something like that. And just everything else afterwards is just really rocky. There's also a song called Shakedown on the album, which is a rap song. Blondie's known for rap, with Rapture being one of their biggest hits. And I think the first ever rap song to be number 1 on the charts. But I think instrumentally, especially with the guitar from Chris Stein, very good song. But the lyrics are, more awkward than their Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction.
We'd like to play with you guys. Me, Nigel? Not tonight. Pretty please. Pretty please, Debbie, no. I love you.
Can't you see my band is up there?
Oh, your band. I thought Blondie was being inducted tonight.
This is also one of only 2 Blondie albums that are not available on vinyl anywhere, so Blondie, if you're listening, please make them. Coming in number 8, this one might get me some hate, but that is their second studio album of all time, Plastic Letters. Now, from here on up, these are albums that I would consider very good to great, and so I don't want to sound like I'm knocking this album at all. Denis Denis, that's a really good song that's on this album, one of their bigger ones. I'm Always Touched by Your Presence, that's another fun one. But besides that, I think all the songs are good, but they kind of sound the same. This is kind of when Blondie's trying to find their voice, and I just think this is their biggest struggling point because it's not really rock or anything. It's just kind of a bunch of random noises together. But like I said, just reiterating, I think this is a really good album. It's just not for me. I think it's a great listen all the way through, but I don't find myself throwing it on the vinyl player every time. Coming in 7th place is probably the biggest shock to me, and that is their 2011 album, Panic of Girls. Before making this video, I just wanted to see where my opinions lined up with people, so I watched a lot of ranking videos, and this album was usually their 11th spot, or at most their number 10 spot, but I think this album has a lot of songs that are worth listening to. Side A of this album is one of the best, I don't know what you would call it, best sides of any Blondie album. They have the song "What I Heard," which is a nice. It's a little more techno than what they usually do, but it still sounds like a Blondie song. They have a classic rocker called "Mother." The End is a nice, slow, kind of jazzy song. And then Girly Girly, which is throwing back to their reggae days. That's another cover. I don't remember the original artist's name, but this is a really good cover. Side B is where it starts to lose me. There's not that many memorable songs. I think there's this whole entire song that's in French. And Debbie, I love you, but I think you should stick to singing in English. Coming in sixth place is their latest album, their 2017 Pollinator. Similar to Panic of Girls, this is an album that starts off really strong. I think Side A is very good. Their first song on this album is called Doom or Destiny, and that is a collaboration with Joan Jett. Very good. Their voices go great together, Debbie and Joan. The next song is their most popular song on the album, called Long Time. That's it feels classic Blondie right here. This is, of all their newest albums, the one that feels like classic Blondie the most, I think. Already Naked, another good song. There's a song on here called Fun. Not really my style. It's a little too goofy for me and a little weird. That one's also really popular, just not my cup of tea. But then, like I said, after that, nothing really does it for me. Starts off strong and then just kind of whimpers at the end. They collaborated with a lot of artists on this, though. I know Charlie XCX wrote one of the songs, and I think Sia was involved too. So this was just kind of their let's become popular again. And I really wish it worked for them because there's a lot to love on this album. Coming in at number 5, Blondie by Blondie. Something that I think is really cool is that in the early days when a band is trying to find their voice, they like to experiment. But this whole entire album seems very in line with all of Blondie's future works. Ripper to Shreds, that could have come out in the 1976 like this album, or it could have come out in the 80s with their other stuff. Some other songs on here that I like: Attack of the Giant Ants, very goofy, but I think it works in this case. Little Girl Lies, and In the Flesh, which I believe In the Flesh is what catapulted them into mainstream success. Something I also like on this album, there's a song called In the Sun, which I think of all the Blondie songs is the one that shows off Clem Burke's talents the most, because Clem Burke is really Blondie's secret weapon. He's the drummer and he's unbelievable. I got to see them live. I was lucky enough, and it's crazy to see him just go ham on those drums like it's nobody's business. For me, again, me personally, coming in fourth place is what a lot of people put at number 1, and that is their 1979 album, Eat to the Beat. While coming in number 4 doesn't make the top 3, I want to emphasize that every single album from here on out is some of the best albums of all time. This starts off with Dreaming, which admittedly they said was kind of a Dancing Queen ripoff, but I don't hear that at all. I don't know about you guys, but it doesn't sound like Dancing Queen at all. But it's kind of like it's pop with like a melancholy undertone, but I don't think it sounds similar. I wouldn't call it a copycat, and I love ABBA. The song Atomic is also on here, which Blondie states is kind of a ripoff of Heart of Glass, so they're ripping off themselves. But I don't hear it at all. I don't know if I'm just crazy or something. I don't hear Heart of Glass and Atomic whatsoever. I think they sound like two totally different songs, and I think it works, whatever they do. My favorite song on here, probably a top 5 favorite Blondie song too, is Living in the Real World. I think that's one of the few times Debbie gets to showcase the range of her voice, because at the end she's just screaming and hitting those high notes. It's beautiful. The one song that doesn't work for me on here is called Sound Asleep, and I don't know what it is. It's just a really weird song. It kind of sounds like a lullaby for some reason, which again, it just doesn't really fit in a rock album. Okay, so me having to pick the top 3 albums for this video was nearly impossible. I love these top 3 albums so much, so if you ask me tomorrow, I might say something completely different, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to say how I'm feeling today. My number 3 pick is their 1980 album, Auto-American. This came out during Blondie's heyday. It came out in 1980, and the song Call Me, that again gave them mainstream success, also came out in 1980. So this album was a pretty decent seller. It has The Tide is High, one of their most notable hits, and again, it has Rapture on it, which is one of the most famous rap songs of all time because it's one of the first rap songs of all time. While those are easily the 2 most popular songs on here, I think unfortunately they overshadow a lot of other really great songs. Go Through It, that's a classic rock song by Blondie with a great kind of trumpet sound in it. Faces, a really nice slow jazz song. Follow Me, a kind of siren song that Debbie sings, which is phenomenal with her voice. And Here's Looking at You, which like is a throwback to the classic 1920 music. Does it usually fit on a Blondie album? No, but this whole entire thing is just very experimental, so I give it a pass, and that's why it's my number 3. Coming in number 2 is an album that I don't think gets near as much love as it should. I think it's a phenomenal album, and that is their 1999 comeback album, No Exit. It's hard for me to make a top 5 favorite Blondie songs, but if I had to, number 1 and 2 would definitely be Maria and Screaming Skin. Both of them are on this album. So, my 2 favorite Blondie songs on one album, that's already great. There's a rap song called No Exit featuring the one and only Coolio. This version's okay on the album, but there's a like a special edition remix, I guess, called the Loud House remix. I mean, a Loud All Star remix. That's what it's called, and that has people from the Wu-Tang Clan on it. It's a lot more collaboration, and it's very, very good. Some other songs: Debbie Harry tackles country in this with "The Dreams Lost on Me." I think it works. Some people don't. That's totally fine. What else is on here? Out in the Streets, that's a revamped Blondie song because they originally recorded it in 1976, I think, and then they redid it for this album. Another great one, Under the Gun. And yeah, I can go on and on about how much I absolutely love this album. I think Debbie Harry's voice is the best here. It's aged like fine wine. It's a little raspier, and that's what I like. And instrumentally, I think everyone's at their peak. And that's just going to show that Blondie is not a one-trick pony. However, no matter how much I love No Exit, there is only one clear number 1 choice, and that is their 1978 album, Parallel Lines. I would say this is Blondie's only no-skip album, saying that every single song on this album is great in its own way. One way or another, Heart of Glass, do I even have to talk about it? Another song that's on this album that I really like is Sunday Girl. It reeks of 70s pop, and that's what I like. A song called I'm Gonna Love You Too. It's an updated version of an old Buddy Holly song. That really works for me too. Hanging on the Telephone, another cover. I forget who the original artist was, but Blondie just makes it better. And every single song on this is just amazing. So yeah, that's all that I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for watching, and I would love to know if you've listened to these albums, which one's your favorite, which one's your least favorite. Do you think I'm crazy for some of my rankings? Yeah. Probably, and that's okay. But I really appreciate you guys for joining me and sticking around in the video this long, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.